YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, going to be bringing you some Skaven versus Lizardmen action. I haven't gotten to play a ton of Skaven battles, but wanted to show you all this. I need to start focusing in on Skaven, what some of their strengths are. So let's check a replay here from Most Serene Chris, where he's going to be playing against the Lizardmen. He's got a front line of Skaven Slave Spears, which are just weak fodder. His second line is Death Runners, which are actually nice armor-piercing dual sword infantry here. So that's going to be his heavier hitting. He's got a Warp Lightning Cannon to be able to use that from range, some Skaven Slaves in the background, and a couple of Rat Ogres on the flank. Rat Ogres kind of provide a good dose of speed and armor-piercing hitting power for the Skaven that goes on the flank. They're kind of almost like Skaven Cavalry. His main core, I've actually used this before, and you all may have seen it. I have two Assassins, which are very nice. They have abilities that make them handy at singling out enemy lords who get into combat. Basically, there's two abilities. You got Trophy Heads here, which takes away melee defense and melee attack, and then this other one, Rival Hide Talisman. So you can use this to really debuff enemies around you and kind of have a nice anti-lord party there. There's a Skink Priest of Heavens, which is pretty cool riding around on this big Stegodon, it looks like, maybe. We got Kroq-Gar and the Feral Carnosaur, and why not? Everybody loves Kroq-Gar. Bastiladon with the Revivification Crystal, so this can be used to heal the enemy army, and it's what's being fired upon. Makes sense. If the Slave Spears do their job and start dying, and Kroq-Gar is going to get attacked by these two Assassins almost immediately, while the Grey Seer kind of just stays back at safety. He's being shot at by the Skink Chief up there. So let's see. Kroq-Gar has got some massive hitting power. The two Assassins, though, are debuffing him. You can see that melee attack, melee defense. So Kroq-Gar is going to start taking more damage, but here comes the Saurus Warriors. But this is going to see the Death Runners come in. The Warp Lightning Cannons have almost killed the Bastiladon here. He's healing himself. The Rat Ogres on that flank still not being used. And then over here, the Feral Cold Ones coming in from behind these Skaven Slaves. They should be able to get an easy route there. The Grey Seer is getting wrecked by the Skink Chief. So that's not good for the Skaven. Over here, these Saurus Warriors, though, getting taken out, but Feral Cold Ones coming in for a nice rear charge. Kroq-Gar still very much alive, despite the attack of the Assassins. So they are debuffing him and trying to slow him down, but Kroq-Gar is probably the toughest lord in terms of just going head-to-head with others. But yeah, very nice. This is a good use of the Warp Lightning Cannon, taking this Revivification Crystal off the battlefield. Now if maybe he can start focusing a couple other units with it. The Lizardmen have fewer units, but of higher quality for the most part. These Death Runners, though, are tough units. This Warp Lightning Cannon is getting some serious work done. It's about to pick up a Chevron already, and I think the Lizardmen are highly underestimating what that Warp Lightning Cannon can do, and they should be all over it. Look at this. Trophy Head's just debuffing Kroq-Gar, and he's going to take a hit from the Warp Lightning Cannon, but he's on top of it now, and it can't fire. But if the Assassins can catch up, they might be able to stop this from happening. Yep, Rat Ogre's now coming in. Kroq-Gar's in trouble. And if that Warp Lightning Cannon can stay alive, it's going to be a huge benefit for the Skaven, because there's still this Skink Priest here and this Skink Chief back here. So Kroq-Gar is going to rout. They're actually using the Revivification Crystal on him. This Bastiladon came back, man. Talk about frustrating for the Skaven. But Warp Lightning Cannon survives, and Kroq-Gar is straight dead. So they need to focus on getting rid of that Revivification Crystal. It looks like the Skink Priest, Lord of Heavens, has been using his... I've missed it a couple times, apparently, but he's been using the Wind Blast, and to great effect. He's got over 150 kills. I think he's got the Wind Blast. Yeah. That's a great spell to use against Skaven. So, good call by the Lizardmen, but here the Revivification Crystal is broken again. If it breaks one more time, it'll be shattered. Wondering what happened to the cannon unit. Oh, okay, it's back here, so the cannon unit needs to get back in here. Skaven Slaves returning to combat. It is not looking good for the Lizards at this point. The Skink Priest is going to come back. The Skink Chief has, done some damage, and then back here the Feral Cold Ones got busy chasing something and were too far away from the battle. So the Skaven are actually in pretty good shape here. You're seeing that they're able to just swarm units. The assassins played out very nicely at slowing down Kroq-Gar with all the debuffs. The cannon here is regrouping, but some rampaging feral cold ones. Let's hope that these Skaven slaves can protect the cannon. Look at him. Oh. Clever girl. Yeah, 2 of the cannons actually got taken down while Kroq-Gar was in the attack. And now the cannons are getting attacked by feral cold ones. It's actually still fairly balanced on the balance bar. I'm having a hard time believing that. The Bastillodon with Revivification Crystal is just chasing away some runners there. I don't know, with that Revivification Crystal back, that's not good news for the Skaven. So Skink Priest, Lure of Heavens, could potentially keep using Wind Blast if he has more magic left. Here comes the Assassins, and the other units are swarming in on the Skink Priest. Some rampaging lizardmen coming back. The Skink Priest is gone. Nicely played by the Skaven, getting rid of that unit before he gets more kills. Skink Chief is still in the air safe as long as there's units on the ground. Now the Revivification Crystal, yeah, there's the Shatter. So the balance bar went back and forth a couple times. That was interesting play from both players. I thought that was fun. I really like the use of the Assassins there. Nice job on the part of Most Serene Chris to take advantage of the abilities that these guys provide, being able to heavily debuff enemy heroes or lords. And these guys are squishy. It doesn't take much to stomp them out. But you think about Kroq-Gar getting bogged down in those fights and losing that much melee defense and melee attack. That was a big deal. Using the sacrificial slaves here to slow down the charge of stuff like Saurus warriors, well played, because it'll help out the death runners in the end. And then the storm vermin, both of them turned out pretty healthy in this fight. I do like the warp lightning cannon here. It's not going to show a lot of kills, but it did a lot of work against this revivification crystal, which is a key unit for what the lizardman was using here, because it could have kept trying to heal important units in the lizard army. So fun play. Let's go take a look at I don't know, we'll just go take a look at like the death runners real quick, because we haven't done a whole lot of looks at Skaven yet. So Skaven definitely has hordes of infantry you can throw at stuff. We've seen clan rats, we've seen Skaven slaves. That's pretty much what those guys are. They're the swarming type units. Most of the time, if I was using those type of units, you'd either want them in a front line to break up a charge, or you would want them on the flanks, where you just need swarms on the flank to maybe get around to enemy archers. Whereas something like Death Runners, this is a more dedicated anti-infantry type unit. They have this Weeping Blade, which takes away 50% of the armor. Woo! So these guys can do a lot of damage against armored infantry. That's really going to be their role. The downside here is they don't have much armor, so like that Skink Priest using a Wind Blast, yeah, these guys are going to be in trouble. Concealment Bombs, huh? Oh, that's cool. So basically this unit can stay hidden and get close, so it's supposed to be a sneaky unit. It's got Vanguard, Deploy, and Stalk, so you can use these to do some sneaky. They didn't get used that way in this case, but they can be. If we take a look at some of the other Skaven infantry, just to be curious at what you got, Storm Vermin with sword and shields. These guys don't have anti-armor. They're just going to be kind of your tankier infantry unit for the Skaven, if there is such a thing. And then these Plague Monk Sensor Bears are really going to be your heaviest damage dealers, and they're going to be the best against armored infantry. You can see they do armor piercing damage. Pretty solid armor piercing damage. They've got this minus 10 leadership debuff and magical attacks, which this kind of thing, for instance, would go a long way against Phoenix Guards because they have physical resistance. Again, though, no armor hardly at all, except for on Storm Vermin. Storm Vermin are really the only armored infantry from the Skaven, so that's why you got to be especially careful of Wind Blast, Sun Fang, and other type breath type spells that are going to be very good against unarmored infantry. The other thing you have to be very wary of is missiles. Without that armor, the Skaven infantry are going to suffer mightily at the hands of enemy missiles. Now these guys do have a bunch of their own missile units down here that I'd like to talk about on another day, but just in terms of the infantry rundown, pretty much everything from here at the Skaven slaves up to the clan rats with spears and shields, these guys are all just throwaway infantry units that you try and swarm on the flanks or block charges with. And then it starts to get more interesting. Plague Monks are a good unit when it comes to taking down unarmored infantry Death Runners are anti-armor, so taking down armored infantry. Storm Vermin with halberds are meant to be anti-armor, anti-large, so these guys are going to be best against heavy cavalry. And then Storm Vermin with swords and shields are meant to hold a line. They're not going to be able to do damage against heavily armored opponents. Plague Monk Censer Bearers are meant to be the best of the best, basically. They even have this Frenzy, too, which should add some extra punch. But yeah, we'll talk Missile Infantry with the Skaven next time. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Appreciate MSI sponsoring my channel. They're fantastic. Always appreciate their help. I thank you all for being here every day. I hope you're enjoying these. I'm loving making it for you. I love learning about this game. It's a ton of fun, so I look forward to it every day. HeirofCarthage signing out for now.